just that. We have to protect American workers. And one way to do that is by tariff. Now, tariffs not only protect American manufacturing, will create higher wages and more jobs, they'll also produce revenues.
Higher wages, more jobs, producing revenue. Putting forward the plan of no tax on overtime. After tariffs going to allow us to get more jobs, bring our manufacturing jobs back to America, hire more people, higher wages. No tax on overtime, that's incentivizing people to go back to work. If you're in a hole, he's literally giving you a proven plan with hard work to get yourself out of the hole that we are in for most Americans. I love it. No.
Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Welcome back to Quality TV. I'm your host, Qua. And in today's video, we got to talk about the economy again. As always, the economy is important for us everyday Americans. So we're going to talk about the economy quite a bit on this channel. Before we talk about that, I want to show you guys this video. It comes from CNN. We got a couple things to talk about today. So let's just get right into it.
There was a MAGA boat parade in Panama City, Florida. CNN Anderson Cooper sent one of his reporters out to be on his show and interview people in the boat parade.
Right.
And the reporter he sends out is lecturing one of the guys she interviews because he has a boat. Listen to this.
If you can afford a boat, you're not hurting so bad, right? Because a boat costs a lot of money and it's a lot of upkeep.
Listen, nobody gave me. I earned everything that I've got. I'm retired military, retired power plant, and I am successful and retired and with boats, jet skis, because I did it right. And everybody has that chance, whether they choose.
I just love the way he answered that question. Nobody gave him. He worked for it, but I'm not going to talk too much.
Or not, that's up to them, because I want my money to go further. I want inflation to go down. I want interest rates to go back down. I want all that, but that covers everybody in the economy. Not just me, not just the poor, not just the rich. It covers everybody.
Fact that they
Exactly right. I feel the same way. It's hard out here for everybody, not just the rich, not just the poor, not just the poor, not just the rich. It's hard for everybody, and if you fix the economy, everybody benefits from smarter policies when it comes to the economy. So, yeah, I'm with you. Everybody has that chance. Again, I don't want to hand out. I want to be able to earn everything that I have. Sadly for me, the economy is not easy for me right now. I mean, basic everyday needs has become harder to pay for. This detergent, everything's become more harder to pay for. We need some kind of relief in today's economy because we can't. It's just in the last year and a half, it's really got bad. I guess because things are compounded, and I'm speaking from my own personal life. I can't speak for everybody. I can only speak for how hard things have gotten for me, and it's extremely hard to live out here. You got to make choices between food and gas, food and whatever sacrifice you make, whatever you choose, you're going to give up something in the end because things are too hard. You can't afford everything.
felt comfortable airing this after such a nasty question to an American voter out there. I mean, this just shows you that it's just become activism with their news division over there. I mean, just because you buy a boat, you got to keep the boat, you got to pay for it. Some people live on their boat. I mean, it's such a disingenuous approach to people.
Right.
Everyone knows, not just.
To me, I get this Robin Hood mentality from Kamala Harris. We're going to take from the rich and give to the poor. No matter how much money you have, if somebody makes $200,000 a year versus somebody who makes $70,000 a year versus somebody who makes $35,000 a year, the problems are the same. You still got fuel. Just because you drive that person may drive a Corvette and you drive a Honda. you still gotta pay for the vehicle. You still gotta buy food. You still have to pay for everything. And just because that guy had a boat doesn't mean he doesn't struggle. The question was it was a terrible question, I think, for a reporter to come out and ask somebody. But we're gonna go over to the next video. I just want to show you guys that, and to understand that most Americans feel the exact same way when it comes to the economy. So we need plans that work. Take a look at Trump's plans and how they could work.
Talk about tariffs, because during his Economic Club of New York speech here in New York recently, the president really pushed tariffs as an answer to bringing in a lot of tax revenue and almost as a panacea for wiping out the deficit, saving jobs, and of course, he says it would bring in enough revenue to even start a sovereign wealth fund. Wouldn't slapping 10% tariffs on imports, the intended effect would be, well, people would buy more American products. But if you buy less imported product, doesn't that bring down the revenue that would come from the tariffs that are on imported products?
Well, there would be some of that effect, but initially, if you put, let's say, 10% average, the tariff plan is to be strategic, to focus on important industries and in areas of American manufacturing that have faced unfair competition. But we import somewhere over $3 trillion a year of merchandise goods. So if we put a 10% tariff on average, that would be $300 million, and a 15% tariff would produce $450 billion in revenues. That would go a long way to reducing the deficit.
You recently got to play.
All right. We hear Trump talk about his tariffs all the time. I mean, like all the time. It's a clear plan. And this gentleman right here, he just explained it in a way that I hope you guys that's viewing this video could understand. Those kind of dollars it'll steadily chip at the deficit that we have today. So if it's 4 years of that, that's a nice amount that's off our national debt. So to me, the tariff, it's a genius idea. It's simple, but yet effective, and I think it will work, in my honest opinion.
Journalist yourself, when you interviewed former Trump administration from the first administration, Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, who famously, when Donald Trump's administration raised tariffs back in 2018 on things like aluminum and steel, famously held up the Campbell's soup can and said that any increase in the price, because those cans are aluminum, from those tariffs would be negligible. He got a lot of blowback from that, even not just from Democrats, but say, for example, then financial Senate leader Orrin Hatch of Utah, Republican, who said that the damage done to American manufacturers in the steel and aluminum sector far outweighed any benefit of the tariffs. Do you worry about unintended effects and that the whole thing kind of works in reverse?
I don't, Liz. We face a $1.2 trillion merchandise trade deficit. We live in a very unfair world where we have almost no barriers, foreigners selling here, and we face lots of tariff and non-tariff barriers exporting abroad. And that's left to devastation in many of the communities across the U.S. So we have to fix that. We have to protect American workers. And one way to do that is by tariff. Now, tariffs not only protect American manufacturing, will create higher wages and more jobs, they'll also produce revenues.
Higher wages, more jobs, producing revenue. And then, Trump is putting forward the plan of no tax on overtime. After tariffs going to allow us to get more jobs, bring our manufacturing jobs back to America, hire more people, higher wages, and no tax on overtime. That's incentivizing people to go back to work. If you're in a hole, he's literally giving you a proven plan with hard work to get yourself out of the hole that we are in for most Americans. I love it. No tax on overtime. You're going to bring jobs back. You're going to incentivize the companies to bring the jobs back to America. It's a recipe it's a simple solution to our biggest problems that we face as Americans, and I love it. I know that there's jobs here for me now, and then I get in those jobs and work harder and work overtime. I now have help, real logical help to build myself up, build my family up, become, and to get ahead of everyday life. I don't think you can beat something like that. Hard work pays off, right? This is the epitome of hard work pays off.
Now, in looking at the inflationary impact, we saw under Trump when he had tariffs before against China protecting steel, inflation was very low under Trump.
That is
it was only
true.
1.9%.
That is true.
And under Biden, reached 9%, as you alluded to before, and averaged around 5%. So tariffs is only one part of the equation when you're looking at inflation. Other things to look at are energy and regulation. All have the potential to bring down inflation.
Others would argue, too, you throw in a pandemic and the supply chain snafus, and that really added in great part to the inflation that we saw. This all may come front and center to you because there is chatter that you would possibly be named Treasury Secretary if Donald Trump wins. Let's just play what if. If you were Treasury Secretary, what mistake do you perceive is a big one the current administration has made that you would first attempt to reverse or fix?
That's a great question. That is a great question.
Well, I think the big issues we'll face immediately as Treasury Secretary are tax policy. And the difference between the Trump administration and Harris is very, very different. Trump wants to extend the current very successful tax policy, which was implemented in 2017. The Biden-Harris group, on the other hand, wants to change that. They want to raise the corporate tax rate from 21 to 28%. They want to raise the capital gains rate from 20% to initially 39%. Now they flip-flop back to 28%.
That's for people, the unrealized capital gains tax.
For that's for realized capital gains.
Right, but for people making realized gains, but unrealized.
She's running on a Robin Hood ideology, in my opinion. We're going to take from the rich and give to the poor. That's just, I mean, the rich are, they're still American citizens. They're still Americans with real problems. The problems are different, but they still have problems. They need money just like everybody needs money.
For people making $100 million or more. But let me just quickly ask you about the U.S. dollar. How important is the U.S. dollar as a reserve currency to remain the reserve currency of the world?
I think Trump was very clear about that in his presentation at the Economic Club, that it's very, very important for the U.S. to remain the reserve currency in the world.
Very important. I would say that's what you believe. You're known for a big bet against subprime mortgages that really paid off. What is the next big bet that you see that's similar to that? Because you really crafted that bet. It didn't really exist when you did it.
Well, I would say it very much depends on who is in the White House and who controls Congress. I'd be very concerned if Harris is elected and pursues the tax plans and other economic plans that she articulated. You alluded to the tax on unrealized gains. If they do implement a 25% tax on unrealized gains, that would cause mass selling of almost everything: stocks, bonds, homes, art. I think it would result in a crash in the markets and a immediate, a pretty quick recession.
People were very concerned.
It'll be a disaster. It would be a total disaster if she won. And implementing these types of left ideals, like, you can't tax me on something on a value that's unrealized. This is just another way to take money from American people, but yet you use opportunity economy. Opportunities for who? Who the opportunities going to be for? The migrants? That's the opportunities I see, because those are that's who's getting those opportunities now. So forgive me for not being blind to how destructive these things could potentially be. I don't know. The economy is very important. I think it's still my top worry in this year's election. That's what my interest is, and that's what I'm going to vote for. That's who I'm going to vote for. Whoever has the best plans to save the economy. And so far, the things that I hear from Trump, I love them. To some, they might not be that great, but at least we got something, right? But as always, I appreciate you guys for being here. If you like the content I provide, please feel free to subscribe to the channel, like and share the content. And as always, peace, love, and fish grease. I'll talk to you guys on the next video.